习近平赞成2970票，宣读完毕。
In the eyes of the outside world, the Chinese Communist Party appears to be a single entity, with Xi Jinping presenting an image of a strong leader and his subordinates following his style. But the great factional rivalry that has long existed within the CCP continues unabated. In fact, Xi is less worried about his external enemies, such as the United States, than he is about enemies from within the CCP. Early August is traditionally the time for a high-level meeting of the Communist Party's top officials, the Beidaihe Conference. Since August 1st, there has been no public events by the Chinese leaders or the CCP's 7 Politburo Standing Committee members on the official media for a week. There is speculation that the Beidaihe meeting may have already taken place. In the meantime, rumors are spreading about the conflict between General Secretary Xi Jinping and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, as well as pressure on Xi from some senior CCP members. Let's take a look at these shocking conflicts within the Chinese Communist Party. At the July 31st meeting, Vice Premier Liu He, a close associate of Xi, embarrassed Premier Li Keqiang in a scene that was broadcast nationwide and showed that there is no way to conceal the conflict within the Communist Party.
中共中央政治局常委、国务院总理李克强同志，中共中央政治局常委、国务院副总理韩正同志，中共中央政治局。
However, Xi and Li were once thought to be close political allies, as they once fought a common internal party enemy, Jiang Zemin and Zheng Qinghong. Jiang Zemin officially ruled for 13 years, but to be precise, he ruled for 23 years as he was practically in control for 10 years under Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabao's administration until Xi Jinping came to power. In 1989, he became the CCP's general secretary after gaining the trust of the party's top officials for his crackdown on the pro-democracy student movement. Zheng Qinghong became his chief of staff and was instrumental in consolidating Jiang's power. During Jiang's rule, he also launched a persecution campaign against the spiritual practice Falun Gong and was indicted in overseas courts by Falun Gong practitioners.
你们毕竟还图一样，西方的哪个国家我没去过？你们要知道，美国的华莱士那比你们不知道高到哪里去了。我给他谈笑风生。
In 2002, Jiang retired from the top position of General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee and was succeeded by Hu Jintao along with Premier Wen Jiabao as his partner. However, Jiang Zemin and Zheng Qinghong made use of their huge bureaucratic network to overshadow Hu and Wen's team. During Hu Jintao's rule, no one in the country would have heeded Hu's orders without Jiang and Zheng's consent. In 2008, after the devastating Wenchuan earthquake, then Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao rushed to the disaster area and ordered the opening of the road to Wenchuan. However, the Communist Party's military forces were slow to act, even citing bad weather as an excuse for not carrying out the Premier's order. As a result, by the time a large number of rescue workers reached the disaster area, 76 hours had already passed. Although Jiang Zemin was forced to resign as chairman of the Military Commission in 2004, he had been holding on to the military power through his henchmen in the military, Vice Chairman Xu Caihou and Guo Boxiong, who would rarely carry out the orders from Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabao. Xu and Guo deliberately delayed the relief effort to make people angry at Hu and Wen's failure to respond to the disaster. In March 2012, Bo Xilai, a member of the CCP's Politburo, was arrested and was seen as the successor to Jiang Zemin's team. The Apple Daily reported that Bo, who was involved in the forced harvesting and trafficking of organs and bodies of Falun Gong practitioners and political prisoners during his position as Dalian City's mayor, had gained the trust of Jiang Zemin and had followed Jiang loyally in his campaign to persecute Falun Gong. Bo was a rival to Xi Jinping, the choice of some of the CCP's senior political members, and Li Keqiang, who was chosen by Hu Jintao as his successor. By this time, General Secretary Hu Jintao had already begun his coalition with Xi Jinping. At the most important meeting of the Communist Party in November 2012, the 18th National Congress, Hu resigned from all party and government positions in an attempt to force Jiang's faction out of power and hand over the power to Xi Jinping. After the speech, Hu shed tears. It was reported that Xi Jinping was also moved to tears on the spot. At the meeting, both Xi and Li Keqiang took the top political stage and began to seize power from Jiang's faction. Together, Xi and Li, assisted by another key member, Wang Qishan, used the name of anti-corruption to take down senior CCP officials from Jiang and Zeng's faction, who were deployed at the top of the party, government, and military leadership. This included Zhou Yunкang, Xu Caihou, Guo Boxiong, Lin Jihua, Li Dongsheng, and many other key members of their faction. These campaigns were known as the Fight the Tiger campaigns, but to this day, Jiang's faction still persists and attempts to divide the alliance between Xi Jinping, Li Keqiang, and Wang Qishan. Jiang and Zeng's divisive and baiting schemes were very successful. During the Tiger campaign, Wang Qishan had almost reached the heights of Xi Jinping in terms of merit and popularity. At the CCP's 19th National Congress, Xi dumped his close comrade, and Wang has since virtually disappeared from the CCP's political scene. Jiang had expressed his support for Xi Jinping as the one in the highly centralized system of power and gave him Wang Huning, a senior official in his own faction who was specialized in making speeches and embodied the communist ideology. Xi used this official heavily to strengthen ideological control and brainwashing propaganda. The relatively pragmatic Li Keqiang was gradually marginalized. The world was once puzzled as to why Xi would accept and use Wang Huning, a civil servant from the Jiang faction. But taking a look at Xi's academic background may provide an answer. From childhood, Xi memorized Mao's quotations and studied Marxism-Leninism and ideological and political education while at Tsinghua University. Li Keqiang, on the other hand, studied economics at the Beijing University. 2017 was a turning point as Xi alienated two of his most important political allies, opting instead to work with the Jiang Zeng's faction to some extent. It also marked the beginning of his bad luck. In 2018, during the US-China trade negotiations, Li Keqiang, who was supposed to be in charge of the economy, was completely alienated, with Xi's close aide Liu He taking charge of the negotiations and Xi making the decisions. As a result of the agitation and stirring up by Wang Huning, Han Zheng, and other members of the Jiang faction, Xi backtracked on the unanimous intentions reached in the long-running US-China trade talks. The US and China gradually moved from trade negotiations to a trade war. The US announced more and higher tariffs, foreign investment began to pull out of China, exports plummeted, unemployment rates climbed, debt-to-GDP ratio increased, and so on. By the end of 2019, the Chinese economy had reached a new low. With the 20th National Congress of the CCP to be held in 2022, Wang Huning has created a theoretical vision of the Chinese dream and comprehensive prosperous society to help Xi consolidate his position as the supreme one at the 20th Congress. This year, Wang Huning manipulated the media to focus on praising Xi, placing, quote, everyone heading toward living in a well-off society as the leading direction of media propaganda. At a press conference this year, Li publicly exposed a corner of China's economic reality that there are 600 million people in China earning only 1,000 RMB a month. Xi writes articles through the party's media outlet Qiushi magazine, declaring that a well-off society has largely been achieved, but he did not mention specific statistics. In order to promote livelihoods and employment, Li Keqiang began pushing the street vendor economy. In less than 10 days, however, it was stopped, and Wang manipulated the media to criticize this street vendor economy and called it a persistent disease. Li, in an unyielding effort, changed the name of the street vendor economy and is now launching it again. On August 3rd, the State Council issued document number 27, which highlighted the need to, quote, encourage the development of self-employment. Xi is pursuing the policy of paying big sums of money to some countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America in order to buy them politically. On July 15th, at an executive meeting of the State Council, Li said that China was still a developing country and should do things within its abilities. On July 21st, at a symposium, Xi put forward the idea of economic domestic circulation, but Li's previous statement subsequently appeared on Chinese social media. Quote, "Shutting the door to develop will not work, and openness is as indispensable to people as air, otherwise we will suffocate." Li's constant exposures led to Xi's great embarrassment and anger. Xi reportedly asked Li to correct his position at a party meeting. This led to a public humiliation of Li on July 31st, and serves as a warning and reminder to Li of his position. In addition to dealing with the challenge of Li Keqiang, the United States is considering revoking the green cards of CCP members, refusing them entry into the country, and has already begun to sanction some senior Communist Party officials. All of this has made many senior CCP officials very unhappy with Xi. As a result, Xi now faces collective pressure and even possible subversive plots from other factions within the Communist Party, including the most dangerous, the Jiang and Zheng faction. On July 28th, Guo Wengui, a wealthy Chinese businessman living in exile in the United States, said that he had heard 4 days earlier that Deng Qinghong was going to make a move, but it didn't work out and the plot was probably exposed. Many people have wondered why the top leadership of the Communist Party of China wasn't present when there was such a massive flood and other disasters in China. This would not be surprising if you knew that they were in the midst of another life-and-death struggle. Under the pressure of a changing world environment, the factional rivalries within the CCP will become more and more intense, and we may soon see what the outcome will be for China. Thank you for watching this video. We will continue to provide unbiased and in-depth coverage on China. If you are interested in our content, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you can be alerted when we post new videos. This has been China Observer, and we hope to see you next time.